One, two, four. Is this working? Hi, folks. You're with Tassus today at your pushback channel, and thank you. Geez, this thing's jumped again. The counter jumps. I mean, it gets to about 10, 11 seconds, and it jumps back to zero again. So I don't know what's happening here. Hi, folks. You're with Tassus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the Hollywood propaganda production, the Woman King. I mean, it's all part of this woke nonsense we see everywhere today. But in a way, I actually support this. I want to see movies that I think there should be no white people in certain movies. There should only be black people, and this sort of utter fantasy world that Hollywood and the mostly white sort of leftist globalist elite want to create for black people. I think they should have just completely black, no white people or Asians, just all black people, and creating their own fantasy world there, and have movies and TV shows and made by black people, produced by black people. You know, not a Berg or a Stein in sight, but just black people all over. And black athletes, basketball players. I mean, they can donate their money to these productions and make it all black, financing everything. And I think that's great. I've got no objection to that. I fully and absolutely support it, and hope that that's the next step in black movies. So, if they want to do a movie saying that Julius Caesar was really black and that black people invented the rockets to the moon, I'm okay, go ahead, do it. So it's all black people. Now I don't think anyone's going to watch it. It's going to lose a fuckload of money, but go ahead. Do your own productions and have a great time doing it. Knock yourself out. All for it. Now, coming to the Woman King and this idea of Amazons, I mean, it's very much part of this general Hollywood thing where you get these, 95-pound, little ditzy dolly birds, kicking the shit out of 250-pound roided out bodybuilders, and we're all supposed to believe that that's. I mean, even if you suspend disbelief, you can't even sort of engage with that sort of nonsense. But it's very much the Hollywood thing. Apparently, lesbians, and there's no shortage of them in the. Writing the scripts and the production and all this sort of stuff. Lesbians love this. The idea of women beating the shit out of men, straight men, straight white men. This is apparently the real sort of jewel in the crown for the lesbian activist crowd. But coming to the issue of Amazons. Now, Amazons first appeared and were mentioned in some of the ancient Greek fables, and they were sort of almost semi-godlike in their capacities and abilities. So if you look at, say, every sport that was in the Olympic Games, horse riding, the ancient Greek Olympics, horse riding, archery, sword fighting, long distance running, wrestling, you name it. Any sport was in there. The Amazons, even though they lived in a secluded area, they didn't fight any battles, and they didn't have any expert soldiers or anything showing them what to do or training them or anything like that. They just had these natural abilities, and they were better than any man on the face of the planet. They were better than any man in all these skills. And so somehow, and they had these powers magically because they fought no wars. They had no veteran soldiers training them or special archery instructors. No men around. It was all women, and they just somehow acquired these skills. A bit like in Star Wars, and that skinny little girl they've got in the Star Wars thing, that she somehow magically had all the Jedi Knight powers that Luke Skywalker and all had to learn and train to get. No, she just had it magically, as indeed these Amazons did. So, in possession of these magical powers, no guy could take them on because he'd get his ass totally kicked by these Amazons. So, so that was it appearing in Greek mythology. There are other things like claiming that they're breast got in the way of throwing spears, so they just cut their breasts off. Now, given the muscles in the breast and so on, I'm not sure that would really work at enhancing spear throwing. But hey, it's a myth, for fuck's sake. So that was the thing. Now move along here, and the Amazons, by the way, are meant to be over 6 foot tall and that sort of stuff. Move along now, and we come to the medieval, I suppose. Oh no, went into the 1800s. The kingdom of Dahomey, which was an area in West Africa, and it was very big in the slave trade, as all the African places were. They were so busy grabbing slaves and trying to sell them to the Arabs or other tribes, or to the the transatlantic slave trade when it came along. That was the big. This is how these empires became rich. They didn't bother cultivating vast fields of corn or something like that, or a little bit of it, but they didn't bother with animal husbandry on a scale that would have given them a much higher standard of living. They in fact lived a very Stone Age type life for the most part, and their main income came primarily, at least, came from slavery, and they did quite well. But the Kingdom of Dahomey, for example, became quite rich, taking slaves from other black tribes grabbing slaves from them, and so on. Now, when the white people came along to the slave trade, which was when the new world, the Americas, started to open up, slavery had been around for thousands of years. It was, and the white people didn't go into the African interior and just randomly grab black folks. Far from it. The black slaves were delivered to them by the blacks, other blacks, or sometimes there were enterprising Arab slavers that were working in the area. Particularly folks had come down from the North African Barbary coast and so on, acting as if you like, slave wholesalers, I suppose you could call them. So slavery was all blacks enslaving each other, just for anyone gets too excited about. So now there was claims by very few, given how prominent Hollywood wants to make this, and given how they're alleging the army of women warriors was huge. There's very little mention of it. You get a couple of mentions from there's a French observer, and there was someone else, a Dutch or Portuguese observer. But given something so prominent, so upfront, and so close to the coast, if there was an army of female warriors that were as fearsome and brave and courageous and brilliant and better than any man and all this sort of stuff, then it would have been widely reported by all folks, British and Spanish, all the people who were traipsing through that area. And given that it's supposed to have ended only in the late 1800s, when historical records were vast and enormous, then again it would have been superbly well documented, and their feats and exploits described in great detail, and their achievements and so on. Now, there was some claim that they were extremely brave. I don't know what that means. Does that mean foolhardy? They ran into the guns, the muskets of the white people. Does it mean they impaled themselves on? It seems odd, because you don't want to. No race wants to kill off its women or have them in harm's way, given that you can only procreate through one woman at a time. Like, one man can procreate with 10 women, but it's still one child at a time, one woman at a time. So no race of people willingly has its women subject to a high risk lifestyle, unless there's some other factor going on. Maybe they were chosen through some religious ceremonies. Maybe they're women that couldn't give birth. Maybe they were, there was some other issue here that caused them to be singled out. Now, for the ones because there's a few that were photographed. Now, they look, to me certainly, these alleged women warriors, they don't look like they're 6 foot tall. They look rather malnourished, as far as I can tell. They look a bit on the scrawny side. So, the idea of these bulked up, muscled up, 6 foot tall women going around, killing men with their bare hands and all that sort of thing. That seems rather unlikely. I mean, I guess it's possible, I suppose, but it seems rather unlikely, and it'd probably be more a stealth thing, like they would come up in a group pretending to be, folks mourning in a funeral procession or something, and then suddenly pull out daggers and catch the men by surprise. Maybe that was it. Or they would go around putting poison in. But, that's more likely to be it. If you look at the size of them, the build of them, and the description of them, there's no way they could go around overpowering men. So it would seem they had some other purpose. Maybe when women come screaming out of the forest and screaming in a high pitch, men get surprised and go, "Oh, holy shit, what's going on here?" And that surprise is enough for other men to sneak around the back and get them. But the whole thing seems fairly likely. Did it happen? Possibly, I suppose. But again, given the scant coverage, and it was supposed to have gone on for something like 300 years in a place close to the coast with lots of Europeans going around, and yet very, very little mentions made of it. So my take is it's been seriously overblown. Now with Hollywood, we expect that the dramatisation. I mean, they could have picked hotter chicks to do the movie, but anyway, they're now the average height of the women in the movie is like 5'5", or like 162 centimeters, 163 centimeters, and I don't know, maybe 140 pounds tops. So that's hardly a fearsome warrior thing. Now, the idea of them wielding swords and cutting up dozens of men without even breaking a sweat, well, that's pure Hollywood, and we can kind of put that to one side. But I don't. The movie I thought was. I mean, some of the special effects actually weren't so bad, but the movie was badly acted, badly scripted, utterly implausible, and but had at least they touched on the subject of blacks enslaving each other, which really is a taboo subject. The propaganda saying no, it's only white people ever did it. Only white Arabs didn't do it. Other blacks didn't do it. Nobody. Only those damn fascist Nazi white people did it, which of course is a total and utter lie. But anyway, the movie at least did touch on that issue, thorny touchy issue of blacks enslaving each other, which, by the way, was 99% of the slavery trade at the time. So was it any good as a movie? Was it entertaining? Well, I didn't think so, but that's only my view. Was it well acted, well scripted? Was there a good plot? Was it well produced? Something? No, I think it was none of that. Was it implausible? You bet. So I thought the movie was maybe 2 out of 10, and that's just for special effects and the ability to mobilise that much cash to make such a crap movie. But that's got to get 1 point in itself. But no, I didn't think much. But I don't know, put your comments below and see what you think. They could have done some sort of lavish production of getting lots of hot chicks out of the gyms, for example, and making a sort of a silly movie out where babes in swimming costumes beat up men or something. You could do that. A bit like the sort of Wonder Woman thing, Gal Gadot, or even that Wonder Woman show from the 80s with what's her face, Linda Carter. I think she was a former beauty queen, something like that. Do that sort of stuff, which is very tongue in cheek, and they could have done that, but they tried to pretend it was factual and it's real and so on. So it just came across as stupid, in my opinion. I look forward to your comments below. You've been a task today at your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.